note, but separated since 2004. Okay? If you're talking to somebody who got their green card through marriage, it's worth asking them, who sponsored you for your green card? Okay? If you're talking to somebody who got their green card through marriage, and they got separated soon after getting their green card, or they are divorced, then have them talk to one of the attorneys. Okay? It might be fixable, it might not even be a problem, but don't try to make that judgment yourself. Have them talk to one of the attorneys. So who sponsored you for your green card? Oh, my wife did. Okay, and you are divorced? Yes. And you got your green card in 2004? Yes. And you got divorced in 2005? Yes. Second. Talk to this guy. Okay? Maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it is. But let the attorney figure that out. You just identify the issue and then let the attorney, you can sit in and listen to the discussion, but let them figure out whether it's a problem or not. Okay, are you requesting a waiver based on a disability, attaching Form N-648, yes or no? Are you requesting some other accommodation other than having the test waived? For example, you need a sign language interpreter. You want to make sure that their interview space can accommodate a wheelchair. You want large type print for the reading exam. You can mark any of those there. Okay, so the address, okay, home address, this is where they actually live. So this is, do not put a P.O. box here. It's where you physically live. If you split time between two different places, you could choose one of them as long as you regularly sleep in one or the other, or rather both places. So if you work in one place and go home to your family on the weekends in someplace else, you could choose one or the other. They don't care as long as you actually spend a significant amount of time there on a regular basis. The box B there, care of, okay? B is where you fill out a mailing address if it's different from what you just wrote down for your residence. The care of box is where you are wanting mail to go to someone else at a place you do not live. So do not put, you know, if I'm Blanca Gonzalez, do not put Blanca Gonzalez P.O. Box blah blah blah. You know, okay? If it's me, I don't fill out the care of box. But if I'm going to be moving soon and I want it mailed to my cousin Blanca, then I would put her name there, okay, along with her address, right? And it would say Joran Lyons, care of Blanca Gonzalez, such and such Blanca's address. Okay, that's how it would appear when they mail stuff. Okay, so that way the Postal Service knows that it's going to the right place, because if it just has my name and that address, they're like, who the heck, that guy doesn't live there, and it might not even be delivered. But if it's got my name, care of her name, then it will get delivered. It's like, oh yeah, she lives there, I'll deliver this letter. Okay. Please note in 4A there, that's county, the first one, and then country is at the end. If you're not sure what county the person is in, ask one of the local folks in wherever you are. Okay. Daytime phone, evening phone, you hopefully can provide at least one phone number. All right. Page 3, A number again. Male, female. Immigration does recognize gender changes as long as the person has fully completed the shift from one gender to the other, so you would mark the current gender. Height in feet and inches, weight in pounds. Are you Hispanic or Latino? Yes or no. Race, and this is the entertaining part. You know, well, yeah, I'm Latino. Okay, are you white, Asian, black, American Indian, or Native Hawaiian? Okay. Now, I have heard one person opine that American Indian or Alaskan Native could include people who have roots in the native peoples of Central America or Mexico or South America. Although American Indian and Alaskan Native have legal definitions that don't include that. So, you know what? The officer really doesn't care. Okay. Now, if I mark off black, they might have a problem with that. But you know, as long as it's something that is within the realm of possibility, they're not really going to have a problem with whatever the person wants to mark off. Hair color, very complete list there, all the way down to bald. Eye color, pink. Hey, it's possible. So they're not talking about contact lenses. And for hair color, if you habitually dye your hair a particular color, provided that it's not like, you know, blue, but if I'm older and I habitually dye my hair brown, then I would put brown. Okay, but if I generally let it be gray, then I'm going to put gray. And again, eye color, they're not talking about contact lenses. It's your actual natural eye color. Address, they've already filled in the current home address. You don't have to repeat it. You just have to indicate when they started living there. This says 5 years. If somebody is using the 3-year rule and they've only been in the U.S. for 3 years, then you would only list out 3 years. You don't have to go back to their prior country of residence. Okay. Same thing with employment. They want 5 years, but if you've only been in this country for 3 years and you're using the 3-year rule, you just have to go back for 3 years. If there's a period of time where you were not working, they would like you to indicate how you supported yourself. Perhaps you were supported by your parents or a spouse, or you're elderly and you were supported by your kids. If you were getting welfare, it's okay, but they do want you to mention, you know, so I was unemployed and I was supported by food stamps and unemployment insurance for, you know, from da-da-da date to da-da-da date, okay? So you don't want to just put not employed 2003 to 2009, okay? You also indicate supported by my spouse, or I was a homemaker, or I was, you know, I was a student, or what have you, okay? All right. Trips outside the U.S. This is a trick question. Okay, again, a number on the top. Trick question, though. How many days did you spend outside the U.S. during the past 5 years? Again, if you're using the 3 years, you don't have to count the time before they got their green card. Okay, they're just looking, just pretend that it says 3 years and count from the day that they got their green card, actually. How many trips of 24 hours or more have you taken outside the U.S. during the past 5 years, or 3 years in that case? And then C, this is the tricky part, list all the trips that you have taken since you became a permanent resident. Okay, so if I've had my green card since 1967, that means every time I left the country since 1967, unless it lasted less than 24 hours. Okay, so let's hope that all your folks either don't travel or got their green card fairly recently, because you do not want to be listing out all those trips. Now, they're really interested in the last 5 or 3 years, primarily. So if you have the dates, if they don't have exact dates because it's not stamped in their passport because they were traveling to Mexico, have them estimate. Okay, well, I went at Christmas and I was gone for about 10 days, so it was probably December 20th to December 30th. And I go around that time every year. Okay, so you just make a little note, estimated December 20th, 2007 to December 30th, 2007. And you go backwards from the most recent trip to the one that was farthest back. It's okay to estimate as long as it's a reasonable estimate. If it's close to the 6-month mark or close to the 1-year mark, then they're going to be really picky about the exact dates. But if it's a couple weeks or even a couple of months, it's not that big a deal. Okay, how many times have you been married, including annulled marriages? Now, if they're currently married, please don't put 0, okay? We get that all the time. 0, spouse's family name, Gonzalez, given name, Emilio. Like, wait, 0, what? So if they're married and you're listing spouse's information, it's got to be at least 1 in that box, if not more, okay? If they've really never, ever been married, then put 0, and then you get to skip the entire next page. But if they are married, you fill out the spouse's information. If they are separated and they don't know some of the information, you would make a note, you know, just right on the side in the address box. If they don't know, you just put unknown, separated since 2003. Keeping in mind that if your client got their green card through the marriage, then they would need to probably talk with an attorney to make sure that they're not going to be accused of some kind of marriage fraud if they got separated or divorced very quickly. Okay. Is your spouse a citizen? Yes, no. If they are, when and where did they become a citizen? How did they become a citizen? If they're not a citizen, country of citizenship, a number if they have one, it's an immigration file number. Permanent resident, other. If the spouse is undocumented, immigration is not supposed to run out and arrest them just because you told them on the application